I am a man of honor, integrity, and promise. I pursue all righteousness. I love my family. I will not put my family in harm's way. There is nothing that will keep me from doing the right thing. I am an ambassador of hope and a man of discipline. I am a man worth following. I am a TYRO.
Welcome to TYRO TV. I'm Ron Cathy.
And I'm Kathy TYRO. And for those of you that don't know who we are, Ron and I spent 15 years in the prison system. Ron doing time on the inside, while our children and I did time on the outside. And yet,
out of that experience, we have been able to develop a powerful, life-changing curriculum called TYRO. TYRO is a Latin word which means apprentice, novice, someone learning something new, warrior. And we've been able to encapsulate all our experiences and put them in a book, if you will, where we can help teach others and transfer that type of knowledge to you so you too can become successful when you leave penitentiary.
So TYRO TV, that's part of that. That's part of us being able to share with you what we learned in ways that really help you become successful. And right now we're in the middle of a series called Priorities Coming Home. And so priorities coming home, we actually had listed those in our first one as the overview. And first is relationships and making sure your relationships are solid and healthy.
And the second one was jobs, the big J-O-B. You know, what does it take to become employable? What does it take? Are you marketable? Do you have what it takes to not only get a job, and I believe everybody can get a job, but do you have what it takes to keep a job? You know, what is your attitude once you get a job? Mm-hmm. Do you feel you're doing them a favor? Or are you in the mindset, you know what, I'm going to make this company successful because I want to create job security?
Right. So we talked about what it was that you're going to have to overcome and how to overcome those things. Now today, what we're going to talk about is how to complete parole or probation successfully. We're going to talk about how to navigate through that relationship and some of the obstacles or challenges with that. And then in the coming weeks,
we're going to talk about finances, you know, your relationship with money and how it could dictate. It could, you know, a lot of times people get money and they get that itch in the pocket. They don't know how to keep it. Mm-hmm. We want to talk to you about how to build credit and how important that is to have good credit. And I think a lot of us know, but really, how do you do that? And why do we want to do that? And then the last thing we want to talk about is community service or community,
leadership.
Leadership. Good way of putting it. You know, we want to be a contributor, no longer an extractor from your community.
And so as we go through this series, we're going to give you all kinds of information that's really going to help you make the things that are most important, the things that you're focusing on. Mm-hmm. Because there's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of things that are going to try to take your time and attention, and it's really important that you prioritize the most important things that are going to make you and your family successful as you navigate from prison back home.
So get out your pens and papers and let's get ready to take some notes, and don't go away because we'll be right back.
Dear son, it's been hard these last few years, watching you grow up without me in the picture. Never taking the time to find out how you were or what was going on in your life. You're just a boy, I thought. You don't need me. I didn't need my dad. He was never around, I told myself. But I was wrong, son. I'm supposed to be a grown man. I was selfish. I was stupid. I was thinking of me, not you. If I could go back, son, and change things, I would. It's taken me all this time being selfish to finally grow up and realize I need to be a responsible man. That's what I finally learned, not from prison, but the TYRO program. It's all about becoming a better, stronger man. Wish I would have gotten it sooner. Everything looks different to me now. I'm a changed person. I know I need to be there for you now. It's not about me anymore. It's not about being cool. It's not about who I run with. It's about Mom. It's about you. It's about being a better man, learning something new in my life. It's about being a TYRO, a man worth following. I'm your dad. You're my son, and I love you. I am a TYRO. I'm a TYRO. Dad.
If you think you have what it takes to be a TYRO or just want to know more, contact your local Ridge Project facilitator or your caseworker.
Welcome back to TYRO TV. I'm Ron Cathy.
And I'm Cathy TYRO. And today we're talking about navigating through your relationship with your parole or probation officer as part of our 6-part series on re-entering successfully and making priorities of things that are going to help you re-enter society successfully.
And this is really important because when I was incarcerated and when I got out, I was what they considered old law. And so I was only on parole for 2 years. Most people that are coming out today are what they call post-release control or PRC, and they're looking at between 3, 5, possibly even 7 years being on paper. That's under somebody else's authority and control even when you're out on the streets. So you really gotta know how to become successful despite having the mind battles of somebody watching over you. And we're talking about accountability, you know, and what that feels like to have somebody you might be thinking they're not on your side, they're always out to get you. But the truth is, they're not there to set you up to fail. And that's the truth. They just want to sit back and see, are you the one?
Right. Are you the real McCoy? Are you authentic? Or are you just like all the other guys that are coming through that are just going to produce a whole lot of problems and headaches for me? And so as we think about the things that you're doing right now that could prepare you for success or failure as you meet your probation or parole officer and spend those years with him.
Because if you're not,
or her,
if you're not doing what you can do while you're inside to prepare you to have this conversation, this type of relationship with your parole officer, if you're hanging around guys who have been in and out of prison and already had experiences with parole officer and all their stories, their war stories are horrific and that parole officer, he didn't let me do this, you know, and you know what, some of them may be true, there may be some truth to that, but that doesn't have to be your experience. You get to create your own experience with your parole officer, and that begins with how you handle relationships or the authority that's inside the gates, how you respond and react to those type of rules and things that are governing you inside prison.
Right. When we think about what the things that are governing you, the things that the authority on you right now, think about how are you responding and reacting to the corrections officers? How are you responding and reacting to the case managers? Now, your relationship and your ability to control your own emotions and do what's expected of you is going to set a precedent for you as you transition out. Because there's a few things that get guys in trouble time after time. The first one is people. And that means they're hanging out with the wrong people, the wrong crowd, running around with their associates that are just causing them to miss their curfews, to be in places they shouldn't be, and be doing things that they know they're not supposed to do. And then they end up being parole violated. And so the first place you got to check is, what are the people I'm hanging out with?
You know, if you weeded out your garden, as we say in prison, you know, I know we're talking about something that isn't comfortable, or even a lot of you guys might be turning away and saying, you know what, they don't know what they're talking about. Man, I'll tell you about my PO, you know, and that may be your experience. I know they didn't give me no slack. I did 2 years straight, day for day, and I was able to successfully complete parole. I was able to successfully earn not only the respect and honor of my parole officer, but today we have a relationship where I can actually call him friend. But that's not how it was at the beginning.
That's right.
You know, let's not sugarcoat this.
Think of it like a boot camp. And so it's not going to be comfortable. It's not going to be fun. And you may not like or become friends with your parole officer or your probation officer. They may not like you. It doesn't matter. Just like when you're in school, you're not there so that the teacher likes you or you like the teacher. You go to school so you can learn and you can get everything you can so you can be successful as you move beyond that. You have to look at parole or probation the same way. This isn't for the rest of your life. You're trying to find ways to do everything you can to become successful for the next phase.
So while you're inside prison and you're trying to figure out how am I going to overcome parole when I do get home, when you hit the streets, PRC, you know, because every guy wants to get off PRC as soon as possible. So you got to do everything. You got to be proactive. That means practicing these skills on how to navigate and have healthy relationships while you're inside prison with the people, the white shirts and the gray shirts, even the caseworkers, because these caseworkers, they're developing a jacket on you, and how you carry yourself inside there is going to transfer out here, because if you can practice it and you can get it while you're inside, you're going to take those skills on how to have a healthy relationship with your caseworkers and so forth, even the peers around you. But if you're always in the hole, if you're always in debt, if you're always owing the store, man, if you're doing these things that are negative in your life. And if you're
letting your pride dictate how you act or react as soon as somebody tells you to do something, then you're going to find yourself with all kinds of problems. And so if you begin to just mentally prepare that, you know what, there's going to be somebody I'm going to have to check in with, as long as I follow the rules, I'm only going to have to check in with them periodically. And so begin to do that now in this universe that you're living in right now, and adjust your attitude so that you can actually receive the authority that's placed over you and the accountability.
And this is crucial.
And it's not easy. I know we're making it sound easy.
It isn't easy because, you're a guy, you're a grown man, and you have to have somebody tell you when you can lock it down, even on the streets. You got to be home by midnight. You might have a curfew. They might even dictate to you what job you can get, what job you can't get. But when you embrace this experience, you're going to be able to come out on top, become better for it. And then we're going to talk about later into this show, too, what your job is in relation to him or her. How can you help them do their job better by you being better?
Right. And so stay tuned. When we come back, we're going to talk about what actually happens as you navigate out. We talked a little bit too just now about how to prepare yourself mentally to be able to be proactive in receiving the authority that's going to be placed upon you. So we'll be right back. Don't go away.
TYRO Dads will help you to see who you really are on the inside by coming to terms with your past, present, and future. You will begin to move forward by using your time on the inside to transform yourself. We know you are not the only one serving time. Your family is too. Overcoming the issues that existed prior to and during incarceration are often more than many families can survive. TYRO Dads has a unique method of reaching and healing families based on Ron and Cathy TYRO's own personal experience with incarceration. TYRO Dads works exclusively with incarcerated fathers who have minor children. The program lasts for 10 weeks and focuses on intensive character development. You'll be taught to take responsibility for your actions, to own it. You will be prepared to overcome the obstacles of your incarceration and transition back into your home and community, both successfully and permanently. Upon successful completion of this program, you will earn the title of TYRO, which means a warrior, someone learning something new. You'll be one of the honored, a man worth following.
If you think you have what it takes to be a TYRO or just want to know more, contact your local Ridge Project facilitator or your caseworker.
Welcome back to TYRO TV. I'm Ron Cathy.
And I'm Cathy TYRO. And today we're talking about, yes, of all things, building a good relationship with your parole or probation officer.
And that's the last thing we know a lot of guys want to talk about or even want to hear because they believe that that's the guy, that's the man, and he's got his foot on my neck. But the truth is, he's there to help practice that principle called accountability and embrace it.
And to ensure public safety. And so we can't get mad that he's doing his job. But what we can do is we can take control of our own lives so that nobody else has to take control of us. You see, only when we give up control, when we're not controlling ourselves, that's when we give somebody else permission to enter into our space and enforce control upon us. And so that's what we want to talk about now.
So what's your role as a parolee? That's what we want to talk about. You're already in the prison. You've already mentally prepared to be under parole, under supervision, and now you're on the street. So as a parolee, what is your role? Well, I want to talk about today about your role as a change agent. Becoming that person in anybody's life where when they're around you, they become better. That includes your parole officer, the secretary at the parole office desk.
Okay, and let me just say this, this is not easy. When Ron's parole officer, when I first met him, I had so much animosity and so much pride. Okay, so now this person is now part of my life too, because Ron's coming home to live with me, so now I have to have a relationship with him. And then I remember our first visit to the parole office when Ron says, well, hey, can my wife come back? And he's like, no, I don't have any relationship with her. She can wait out here and you come back alone. And I was just feeling so indignant, wait a minute, who is this person?
And you know what? We're not saying this is going to be easy, but practice makes permanent. And I was already practicing these skills and already anticipating the rejection from the parole officer, maybe even a bit of belittling, because his job is to...
Or some prejudice.
Is to see where I'm at weak at, And that's okay. And I was mentally prepared. I had some great mentorship in prison. Some men telling me, listen, let him do his job. You do your job. Your job is to show him and prove to him that you are worthy to be released from parole early or be able to travel and all these type of things because his job is to protect the community. Right?
And so that means going above and beyond in order to meet the rules. It doesn't mean just barely squeaking by and, okay, get away with whatever I can get away with. And I know that that's a real challenge because it's not comfortable and it's not convenient. I know when we would be out and Ron would say, oh wow, well it's 11 o'clock and it's going to take us a half an hour to get home and I have to be back by midnight. And I would say, well, they're going to understand it's rainy or it's snowy. And Ron said, no, I already know it's raining. I already know it's snowy. So we have to leave earlier so we still get back on time.
And that was a hard one for all of us. The kids and stuff, I'd say, we're having a good time somewhere at some family friend's house or something. I say, we got to leave. And they're like, why? Because I have to be home before midnight. And if I don't get home before midnight, then I'm no longer a man of my word. And I'll have to call him to tell him I was late getting home. And he might have said it's okay and all that, but I didn't want to take the chance of losing what I've been building with him, which is trust. You see, that's key to success with a parole officer, that he can trust you, that he can know that you are a man of your word, that he doesn't have to stay up at night thinking about you. Are you being who you say you are? But if you're that one who's always causing him trouble and grief, guess what? Then that's what the experience you get to have. He's going to be in your face. He's going to constantly check on you. If you drop dirty urine, don't be surprised if you get back to the RIB court and they're going to decide whether they say, these things are the consequences of those negative actions, and we already know it. But if you can stand a shakedown, and that's what we teach being a TYRO, being a man worth following, is that I can stand a shakedown, and that's an amazing feeling, knowing that I can get pulled over and I can stand a shakedown because
and not just stand a shakedown, but almost invite one. I know when Ron was on parole, when we would be, whatever it was we were doing, he would be quick to document it. He'd be quick to write it down. Before the parole officer even asked him for something, Ron already had a letter. He already had the address. He already had the phone number, whatever it was. So he was walking in already prepared. And I know that his parole officer was super grateful because it made his job easier. And when we're on the road in the path of success, our job is to make everybody else's job better and easier, because then that makes us an asset. That makes it easier for us to find jobs, to rebuild a positive relationship with our community, and that translates into a good reputation.
And what's really great is when, and this was an amazing experience for me, coming from a place of fear, right? And what are they going to say about me? How are they going to treat me, when I get home, and really building a trust and a respect between one another, to where when I would call the parole officer and the secretary would answer the phone, and she didn't treat me like a number. She actually asked me, so how are you today, Ron? It's good to hear from you, Ron. How you been? I could today, which is amazing because of the hard work and perseverance and determination that we had together, Cathy and I, to prove to the parole officer, look, we're worthy of being taken serious.
That we really have changed. We really are different. Because if you're not who you say you are, you will be found out for who you really are. And that's not just words. That's a truth principle.
And so we want to encourage you to be proactive. If the parole officer hasn't called you in a week, you call him. You go out there, you tell him what you've been doing, and you success. When you show up to the parole office, it's really important. Don't show up in a holy shirt and holy jeans. Show up looking nice, because this is a job interview. He might be your biggest cheerleader. He might be that advocate that's going to get you a job, because we call parole officers all the time. Hey, I need somebody. You got somebody?
So when we come back, we're going to talk about how you successfully completing parole is going to impact your children's future. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Playing catch, basketball, laughing, and enjoying each other's company. These are all normal things on the outside, but many times are missed in a visitation setting. TYRO Dads brings the same fun experience to the inside through Family Days. As a TYRO Dad, you have the opportunity to participate in this fantastic event. Family Day is designed to allow fathers and families to engage with each other through activities designed to stimulate communication, learning, and play. Family Days will not only be a highlight for you, but for your children as well. The Ridge Project has strategically developed Family Day as an opportunity to help you connect with your child throughout your separation, and help both of you develop skills to continue building your relationship when you return home.
If you think you have what it takes to be a TYRO or just want to know more, contact your local Ridge Project facilitator or your caseworker.
Welcome back to TYRO TV. I'm Ron Cathy.
And I'm Cathy TYRO. And today we're talking about priorities coming home and specifically why it's important to have a good relationship with your probation officer or parole officer so that you can successfully complete that.
You know, as we said earlier, we know this isn't a topic everybody wants to talk about or everybody really wants to be in denial about. But you know what? You want to be successful? Here's your first test. Can you successfully complete parole?
And we would not be talking about it if it were not important. Being able to get through probation or parole is a huge, huge step in being successful in life.
We met a guy the other day, and it was amazing to hear him. He was so excited. He's a TYRO, and he came to our office, and he said, Ron. I said, well, what's up? And this guy's 36 years old. He said, for the first time since I was 16 years old, I have
off paper.
He is off paper. So for the time he was 16 to 36, he was under supervision of some kind.
In and out of jail and on probation or parole. So this is a huge milestone. If you can successfully complete probation or parole, you have dramatically reduced the likelihood that you will ever experience this again in your life or that your children will. And so that's what we want to talk about now.
In this segment here, we want to talk about the impact successfully completed parole has on your family and especially your children. Because that's who's watching. You know, they're infected or affected by when the PO comes to your house, when they're coming in to do a search, when you got to call in, when you got to go show up. All this, they're watching. And the truth is, your children are scared. They're scared.
They're watching your attitude
and they're scared that you're not coming out that office.
Right.
That they're going to lock you up because something you did or something happened that they don't know about, but they know because of history that sometimes dad does something that they don't know about and gets them incarcerated or locked up, and in this case, you know, they don't want to see the handcuffs put on your wrist again.
But when you treat your parole officer or your probation officer with respect, then they can start to relax and say, wow, well, you know what? Dad's not scared. Dad's not angry. He's not acting like he has anything to hide. You know, Dad's getting cleaned up to go see his probation or parole officer. So that means that I also should get cleaned up to go and talk to any authority in my life, whether it is my teacher or my principal or somebody that I want to get a job from. It sets a great precedent for your kids. So you can take something as ugly as being on probation or parole, as frustrating and difficult as having to answer to somebody else about what time you come home and where you are, and turn it into a really positive life lesson for your children.
Because we're teaching our kids about curfew, about responsibility, about listening to authority. We're teaching and instilling this into our kids, but now we get a chance to show them, look, no one is above learning. No one is above accountability. And so, Dad, if you can help navigate that and transfer that type of experience into your children to say, listen, Dad made a mistake and it cost us dearly, but Dad is now in a place on a path of success to where, you know what, we're at the end. We're at the stretch. Is that how it goes?
That's right.
Last stretch of the inning in the bottom of the ninth. And once I complete this probation or parole successfully, we are going to be free of having somebody tell Dad what time to come home. We're going to be able to leave the state. We're going to be able to go to other places.
And so as you change this difficult thing into a monument in your life, you know, think about what you need to do to complete it. Just like getting through school, just like getting through boot camp. And I know when Ron went through his parole, and I mean, Ron was a stickler about, I'm going to follow the rules. We're going to close this chapter in our lives so that nothing can ever come back and rob me of my freedom or my family again, ever. And so as he went through that, in his last day, I'll never forget the day we got the call from your parole officer. And so he calls and he says, hey, Ron, I got something for you.
And I tell you, we was at a different function. We was at a concert where one of my sons was going to jam at. And so he called me, and it's in the mid-afternoon. He said, hey, I got something for you, Ron. And I knew right what it was. And here's what I said to him. I said, well, can I bring a camera? And he said, why? He said, because I need a picture of you handing me this. And he said, what? I said, I want to take a picture of you giving me my certificate of release. And he said, Ron, I've been a parole officer for 17 years, and no one has ever asked me for that. Why do you want this?
Right. And Ron said, this is a moment in my life. This is the completion of this journey. I did 15 years in prison. I did 2 years on paper. That's 17 years of my life. And I want to commemorate this as a closed door and move on to the next chapter. And it was an important thing for our family, and it was an important thing for our outreach. As we founded the Ridge Project, we have there a picture of Ron getting his parole papers in front of him and his actual uniform behind him. And so that's a constant reminder to us that life is behind us, but it also formed us into who we are today so that we can successfully complete our goals reach success and overcome obstacles and challenges in order to build our families strong and prepare us for the future.
Don't run from this, gentlemen. Embrace this experience. It's to help make you better for your future. We're talking about success. As being a TYRO, we talk about the word fear, and what that really means. And we teach it as being an acronym called Facing Everything and Recovering. Well, I was able to, with Cathy, the two of us and our family, face this parole, 2 years parole. We faced it head on. We didn't run from it. We didn't fear it in the sense of, oh my gosh, was it scary?
We didn't live in resentment.
We didn't take any of that personal. I didn't get mad at my PO when he called me up and he wanted me to come in. I stopped what I was doing and I went in. In fact,
or
when
if he showed up at our house. Hey,
I was there, welcome.
In.
But when he didn't call me, guess what? I called him. When he didn't put me on a schedule, I said, hey, I need to be put on your schedule to come and see you because I got to tell you what's going on.
So in doing that, we set a great precedent for our children in recognizing the positiveness of authority and accountability. When we come back, we're going to provide you with some additional tips so you can start working on these things now. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Completion of TYRO Dads is just the beginning of the opportunities available to you. As a TYRO Dad, you will be eligible to participate in workforce strengthening services to help prepare you for employment and open the doors to economic stability for you and your family. The Workforce Strengthening Program starts with job ethics training. Once completed, you may be eligible to receive training to acquire your commercial driver's license while still inside prison. If getting a CDL is not for you, then there is also a welding training program you may be eligible for. As more programs are being added, there really is something for almost everyone.
If you think you have what it takes to be a TYRO or just want to know more, contact your local Ridge Project facilitator or your caseworker.
Welcome back to TYRO TV. I'm Ron Cathy.
And I'm Cathy Tiarina.
And we've been talking about having a successful relationship with your parole officer.
And that even just saying that, it just sounds like, what? What did he just say?
And that's the truth. It sounds crazy, but you too can have success even with your parole officer, because in order to have success with anybody else, this is your first test. If you're going to be on PRC or any type of supervision, here's your first test. Can you be successful getting off of that type of supervision?
That's right. And so basically there are 3 things that you need to do in order to be successful in navigating through probation or parole and getting off of them.
And the first one is being prepared mentally, emotionally, and physically. While you're in prison, already see yourself having a great conversation with this PO, demonstrating that you are worthy of being released. But the proof is in the what?
Pudding.
And who's the pudding? You are. Because they're not going to take you at your word from the beginning. They're going to watch to see who you really are. And the second one is
being proactive. And that means, like Ron said, face everything and recover. So don't be afraid of the experience of your probation or parole officer or of your appointments. Instead, show up ready to answer their questions, ready to take the drug test, ready to provide whatever information they need. Be proactive. So as you prepare mentally, think about ways that you can be proactive in building a healthy relationship, even if that person is difficult to get along with. It's still up to you to set the tone.
You know what? Even if he doesn't call you in a week, 2 weeks, you call him. You call him or her. Let them know you're around, you're here, and that you're willing to take any questions, that you are proactive, and that you are who you say you are as a man worth following. And the last one is really celebrating accomplishments and the goals about being on parole.
All your progress. And if that progress is that, wow, since you've been home, that you have not gotten high and you're successfully passing all of your drug tests, then celebrate
that. Because in the past, when you were falling short of what it means to be a man of honor, a man of good character, you didn't celebrate any of that. Because
you celebrated what you got away with till you got caught.
Yeah. And so now, if you successfully complete parole, 6 months, a year, these are milestones.
Every bit of progress, begin to celebrate that, and especially plan a huge celebration for the day that you get totally off of paper.
We celebrate every annual anniversary for myself, and it is something that really rings true to us. And we want to encourage you that as you progress, document that, celebrate it with you and your family.
And so as we complete this week's show on priorities coming home, we want to encourage you to tune in next time so we can talk more to you about setting those priorities and successfully re-entering your society and your home.
So until next time, always remember, we are rooting for you.
I am a man of honor.
I am a man of integrity.
I am a man of faith. I am the antidote.
I am a man of discipline. I am a leader.
I am strong.
I am a man worth following.
I am a TYRO.